Okay. Have you ever been in one of those conversations? You know, the kind where you feel like you're walking a tightrope.
Hmm.
On one side, there's this really strong pull to be super respectful, right? To avoid stepping on toes, especially if you're talking about something deeply personal, like someone's beliefs.
Yeah, absolutely. Sensitive stuff.
But then on the other side, there's that little voice, sometimes not so little, saying you need to ask the harder questions,
Yeah.
to, dig a bit deeper to really get it, even if it might stir things up a little.
That tension is definitely real.
It's this delicate, sometimes pretty uncomfortable dance we all seem to do, particularly when those really cherished ideas are involved. So today we're doing a deep dive right into this very tension. We're guided by a really thought-provoking piece from Dr. Praveen Ramachandra.
Yes. Truth's Pursuit. Beyond Sensitivity and Stagnation. Great title.
Exactly. It really takes a sharp look at this dilemma, especially how it plays out in, say, debates around religion or philosophy. Our mission, then, for this deep dive is to sort of journey through Dr. Ramachandra's arguments. We want to really understand why thinking critically isn't just about being negative.
Right. It's often seen that way, but it's not the whole picture.
And we'll explore those subtle risks, how easily sensitivity, if we're not careful, can kind of quietly turn into a sort of censorship.
A silencing effect.
Ultimately, we want to uncover how this spirit of inquiry, of questioning, isn't just for academics, it's actually the engine that drives society forward. So, yeah, get ready, because we're going to unpack this powerful idea that real progress often needs a bit of, well, discomfort.
It's such a crucial starting point because, like Dr. Ramachandra points out, there's this very common objection you hear all the time. It's pretty understandable, actually.
What's that?
It's that feeling that, oh, being too critical is just counterproductive.
Mm.
Religion, these things are sensitive. They need respect, not disruption.
Right. You hear versions of that a lot, like handle with care.
Exactly. This plea for gentleness, for kid gloves, especially when we're talking about beliefs that are, almost sacred to people. It feels right intuitively to be careful.
And it does feel right, doesn't it? I mean, we're often taught to value harmony, avoid conflict, and definitely not poke at someone's core beliefs or their faith.
Sure. That's ingrained.
But Dr. Ramachandra seems to be suggesting there's a line there, a line we need to watch out for.
Precisely. He acknowledges that concern for respect is valid. Of course it is. Nobody's arguing for being rude or deliberately offensive.
Okay.
But then he hits us with his really strong counterpoint that this very concern, this desire for respect, if it goes unchecked, risks turning sensitivity into a form of censorship.
Censorship. That's a strong word.
It is, but think about it. It's subtle. Imagine like a work meeting, maybe. The manager avoids challenging an idea they know won't work because they don't want to hurt feelings.
Okay. Yeah, I can picture that.
That sensitivity, it seems nice, right?
Yeah.
Well-intentioned. But it effectively censors a vital conversation. And the project suffers. On a bigger scale, it means important ideas just don't get discussed, don't get examined, all because we want to keep things comfortable.
That's a really helpful analogy. So following that logic, what does it really mean when that desire for comfort, for avoiding any possible offense, starts to, overshadow the bigger goal of actually understanding something?
Well, it means we start sacrificing truth just to be polite.
Ooh.
Dr. Ramachandra's core argument here is crucial. Critical thinking is not the same as being negative. It's not about, like, tearing things down just because you can, or being cynical.
Okay, so what is it then?
Think of it more like a skilled diamond cutter. They use sharp, precise tools, right? Not to destroy the diamond.
But to reveal its brilliance.
Exactly. To cut away the rough parts, the flaws, to show its true beauty. Critical thinking is like that. It's rigorous, objective analysis. It's evaluating information to make a judgment. It's actually a constructive process, testing ideas, refining them. And he really emphasizes the huge historical consequence if we mistake this critical thinking for just negativity. He puts it bluntly. If humanity had always avoided questioning things, always backed away from challenging beliefs because someone might get offended, well, truth would never have emerged.
Wow, that's dark.
Our whole understanding of the world would be, stunted. trapped in old ways of thinking. We wouldn't just be missing a few scientific facts. We'd be lacking entire frameworks for understanding reality.
And this is where those historical examples Dr. Ramachandra uses really hit home, isn't it? When
Hmm.
we talk about people like Galileo or Copernicus, today we see them as heroes, right? Giants of science.
Absolutely.
But back then, they faced fierce opposition. They were called disruptive, heretical even. Galileo, for instance, challenging the idea that Earth was the center of everything.
The geocentric model, yeah.
That wasn't just a science debate. It was, like, cosmic. It challenged humanity's whole place in the universe, which was tied up with religious doctrine and just common sense observation at the time.
A massive upheaval.
And he was condemned in his time, accused of being disruptive. Plain and simple.
Exactly right. And that connects directly back to our central theme here. Their relentless pursuit of truth reshaped civilization. What seemed disruptive, even threatening to very sensitive beliefs,
Turned out to be transformative.
profoundly transformative. It wasn't just about swapping scientific models. It shifted humanity's entire perspective on itself, its place in the cosmos. Their stories really show that discomfort, while it's not always the enemy, it can be the very thing that sparks enlightenment.
So they didn't just accept things, they questioned. Boldly.
Right. And in doing so, they laid foundations that pushed humanity forward into the scientific age. Their journeys are a powerful reminder that challenging the status quo isn't just being difficult, it's often how we pave the way for deeper, truer understanding, even if it feels really unsettling at first.
Okay, so let's circle back. We've established Dr. Ramachandra acknowledges, yes, religion is sensitive. Absolutely. It touches our core values, communities, meaning.
That's a given. It deserves that acknowledgement. But then comes the crucial, kind of uncompromising point. But sensitivity cannot be allowed to paralyze inquiry. And this is where he presents a really stark choice.
A fork in the road.
Pretty much. He outlines two paths for society. Path 1. If we measure only by comfort and emotion, society stays stagnant. Path 2. If we measure by reason and evidence, it evolves.
Stagnant versus evolving. That's quite the contrast.
And stagnation here isn't just standing still. It's often like a slow decay, you know. Ideas, if they're never challenged, lose their vitality. Like intellectual rust sets in. We miss chances for growth, for insights that could help us.
It really forces you to think about what we prioritize. Immediate comfort or that potentially bumpy road towards growth.
Mm-hmm.
And the article frames it so clearly. Progress requires discomfort not to hurt, but to illuminate. It's not about being mean or causing pain just because.
I'm not malicious.
It's more like the necessary friction that creates light. Or think about learning a really complex new skill, or maybe confronting a personal bias you didn't know you had. It's uncomfortable.
Rightfully. Those growing pains.
Exactly. But that's what leads to real change, real transformation. Challenging our mental maps forces us to draw better, stronger ones. So this raises a big question for all of us, for you listening. When we come across ideas that really push our buttons, that challenge our comfort zones, what do we do? Are we, maybe without realizing it, choosing comfort over the chance for genuine insight, for a deeper understanding?
It's something to really chew on, personally and collectively. Now, shifting gears just a little bit, Dr. Ramachandra also brings up something else really interesting, what he calls a generational shift in how we approach these debates.
Oh, generational shift. How so?
Well, he observes that, generally speaking, younger generations today are more outgoing, curious, and willing to challenge conventions compared to older ones.
Okay, I think I see that pattern sometimes.
And crucially, he doesn't frame this as like a lack of respect or impatience. He sees it as a strength because questioning is the first step toward deeper understanding.
A strength. Interesting. Why does he think that is?
Well, he doesn't delve too deep into the why in this piece, but you could
Yeah.
speculate, right? Maybe it's the unprecedented access to information, exposure to diverse views online, maybe a greater focus on individual authenticity.
So less likely to just accept because that's how it's always been.
Kinda, yeah. Maybe a more proactive, less inhibited approach to exploring ideas, even the tricky ones.
You know, that really ties back into that larger historical pattern we talked about earlier with Galileo and Copernicus, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It's like a continuous thread.
It reminds us that every generation that embraced new knowledge outgrew the limitations of the past. Progress isn't just about gadgets. It's fundamentally about evolving how we think, how we engage with ideas, even the sensitive ones.
So these younger generations, in their own way, are kind of echoing that same spirit of inquiry that's always pushed humanity forward.
often by making some folks uncomfortable in the process.
That seems to be part of the package sometimes.
Okay, so let's try and bring all these threads together now. Dr. Ramachandra's conclusion.
Right, he wraps it up very effectively. First, he's crystal clear. Respectful dialogue is vital. We need to underline that. This whole deep dive, it's not a call for being rude or just dismissing beliefs out of hand.
No, civility matters. It sets the stage.
Exactly. That's not the goal of critical inquiry at all.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
There is, and it's the crucial qualifier. Respect without reason is hollow.
Hollow. Explain that a bit more.
Well, politeness by itself, if you don't actually engage with the why behind a belief, the logic, the evidence, it doesn't lead anywhere productive. It might keep things superficially calm, yeah. The sort of polite standstill.
Like a stalemate.
Kind of. But it doesn't foster real growth or deeper understanding. It's like having a conversation that looks nice on the surface, but has no real substance inside. No engine for genuine insight.
And he drives it home with that foundational point. Truth, though disruptive at first, is the only foundation on which societies can grow. That's bold.
It is bold, but think back to those historical examples. It resonates, right?
Right.
What seems like chaos or a challenge initially might actually be setting down a more stable, more honest foundation for whatever comes next.
Replacing shaky assumptions with something more solid.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like discarding an old, inaccurate map, even though it's familiar, to draw a new one that actually helps you navigate the world better. Sometimes that's painful, but necessary.
And then there's his final quote, which sums it all up perfectly.
Yeah, it's a great one. Respect makes discussion civil, but reason makes it meaningful. That distinction. It's just so critical, isn't it? For moving beyond just, polite chat.
Civil versus meaningful.
Right. Respect, civility that opens the door. It lets you start the conversation. But it's reason, the thoughtful engagement, the critical look, the willingness to follow logic and evidence that actually build something worthwhile once you're through that door.
It's the difference between just getting along and actually moving forward intellectually as a society.
Precisely. Armed with deeper understanding and hopefully more robust truths.
Wow. We've covered some really big ideas today, haven't we?
We definitely have.
From really nailing down that difference between criticism and just being negative,
Crucial.
to that subtle danger of letting sensitivity slide into censorship, leading to stagnation.
And the power of reason.
And ultimately, the power of reasoned inquiry, even when it feels uncomfortable, as the real engine for growth, for understanding. So we really encourage you, listening right now, to kind of mull over these ideas. Think about them in your own life, your own conversations. How do you approach sensitive topics? Are you generally open to that bit of discomfort that might actually unlock deeper understanding?
It's a tough question, maybe, but a really valuable one.
Definitely worth asking.
And building on that powerful message from Dr. Ramachandra, truth, though disruptive at first, is the only foundation on which societies can grow. Maybe consider this.
Yeah.
Are there any personal truths, or maybe even whole areas you could explore that you find yourself unconsciously avoiding, maybe just because of that perceived discomfort?
A personal inventory.
Yeah. And then ask yourself, how might embracing respectful reason in those areas make your own discussions, your own search for knowledge, not just civil, but truly meaningful?